Hi, Ben here, amateur radio call sign M7FRS, and if you saw my previous video where I did a HF modification to a Quansheng UV-K5 you might remember that I pledged never to attempt to do one ever again. But here we are, there's a new board out which has got the audio amplifier on, so let's see how it goes this time. Okay, so hopefully I've learned from a few of the mistakes that we made last time. If you've seen that previous video, you know I tried using the hot air soldering iron, so we're not going to attempt to use that at all this time. We're putting that to one side. The soldering iron I was using, I found that the tip was just too small and wasn't getting hot enough. So although I needed a really fine tip for the work we were doing, it just wasn't getting hot enough, quick enough. So we've gone for this tip this time on the soldering iron, and I know I need to keep it clean, keep a little bit of solder on there all the time, so hopefully that'll improve things. Another issue I had was being at sea when I was working, so I bought myself one of these cheap magnifying headbands just so that we can see a little bit better, and it's illuminated as well, so hopefully that'll improve the working conditions. So tools wise, we've got the same tools again. I've got a small prying tool just for getting the radio open, some tweezers, some very fine snips. We've got some solder wick for desoldering, some lead-free solder. We might use the solder paste, so we've got some solder paste as well there. Also I've invested in some solder flux paste as well. I was using the solid paste that you had to heat up, but it was a bit messy and a little bit hit and miss, so I've just gone for some of this syringe solder flux paste, so hopefully that will improve things as well. The other big issue I had last time was the camera was in the way, so I've got a different setup. We've moved to the kitchen this time, so the wife's at work, so we can get away with it. So hopefully she doesn't watch this video, but I'm going to have the camera the other side of the table this time, so it's not right where I need to work. So hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing, but the camera's not going to interfere with that. So anyway, let's get underway. So let's get the radio dismantled then. And first mistake we made last time was we didn't need to remove the little rings out of there that will just come apart with the rings in there. So take the air wheel off, take the volume knob off, take the battery off, and I'm going to use my little prying tool just to start lifting at the back of the radio just here. And you hear a little click, and we can start popping that out. You'll see that becomes visible. So once it's lifted clear, just remember the little plastic part in where the speaker mic goes, and we can gently push that out. And remember that the speaker is also going to be connected, so we just need to be careful of the speaker wire. So let's flip that over. There we go. And then first thing we need to do is desolder the speaker wires just here, so we'll get them removed. So we can remove that. We'll give that a little clean up just with some of the solder wick. So we've got the radio in the vise. Got my magnifying headset on, and this definitely improves my vision working on these tiny components. So let's get on with removing some of these. So in theory this should actually be slightly easier than the previous mod I did with the green board. This one doesn't have the choke, which needs to go underneath the screen so the screen can stay in place, and all we need to remove from this one is the FM receiver chip, and then this component here and this tiny component here. If you want to use an external antenna, that little capacitor has to be removed, but to keep it nice and easy, I'm not going to bother removing that, and I'm not going to try and put an external antenna on. So nice and simple. 1, 2, 3, that's all we need to remove to start with. So let's put a little bit of flux just on the pins of that chip there, just to hopefully make that easier to desolder. So I'm actually just change the soldering iron over to this blade type tip, because I think that might just be quicker for heating everything simultaneously. So let's just try doing this side and then the other side. There we go, and that's the FM receiver chip removed. So let's give that a clean up. And then we'll just use a little bit of the solder wick just to clean those pads up some more. Okay, so that looks good. So let's just remove these two little components here and here next. Put a little bit of flux on there just to get it moving. Okay, and that's that component off. And that's the second one gone. So let's give that a little clean up with some alcohol. Okay, so we're ready to install our HF Mod board, and like I say, this is the one with the audio amplifier as well. That's this little circuit just at the end here. This little IC is the audio amplifier side. There is, don't be confused, because there is another version of this board out which doesn't have the audio amplifier on. If you saw the previous video I did, and I'll link in the description down below to that video, that was the little green PCB, slightly different shape. The IC was orientated the other way round, but like I say, this is the one with the with that audio chip on there as well. And on the back here, I've just popped some double-sided tape so that we can get this stuck into place. I'm going to remove the back ends of the double-sided tape, and then we'll get that stuck down in place. Okay, and these are absolutely tiny. They're quite flexible, these little boards, so let's make sure we get them the right way around. And the critical bit is going to be this end where the pins line up. Okay, so that's all stuck down. We'll give it a little clean, get some flux on there. So let's just pop a tiny bit of flux on here. Let's just try that side first of all with some solder. I'm going to try the other side with a little bit of solder paste just to see if that's any better. And that definitely looks like a better connection to me with the solder paste. That seems to have worked a bit better. So let's just try that again. It's slightly lifted there, I think. And I'll just check those connections with the multimeter just to check that there is a connection between the pins. And yeah, they're all good, they all seem to be connected, so fingers crossed that part of it's worked. So that's that connection made as well. Let's give that a little clean up also. So this last part of the modification I think is probably the most difficult. I've just got a few strands of outer shielding from some RG58 coax which I'm going to use to make the little jumper wires up. And we just need to make a little connection between this that pin there and the outside of that little capacitor. So there's a tiny little jumper wire we need to make. So let's put a little bit of solder paste on the board to start with. Let's just see if that's enough. Yes, there's a little bit of solder on there, lovely. A little bit of flux on there. On the capacitor that we want to go onto as well. So I've done it off camera, but I've managed to get a tiny little bit of solder on that wire. Let's attach that there if we can. Okay, one side's attached. I might need to change the solder tip because I'm still using this big blade at the moment, but probably not going to be the best tool for this. And that is incredibly difficult to see. I need to use my magnifier, but I think, let's have a look. It does look like it has just made a connection, so I'm going to cut that there. Let's see if this works. So the last little connection we need is a jumper wire from the edge of that capacitor just there to this pin just here. So we're going to do the same again. Let's put a little bit of solder paste just on the edge of the capacitor to start with. Just the tiniest amount. I'm just going to touch him on there. Get the solder on nice and clean as usual. It's connected, but I'm not happy with that. It doesn't feel it connected enough, so a little bit more, tiny bit more solder paste on there. Again, let's have a little look with the magnifier. It's difficult to see, but yeah, that looks connected. And then we just need to bend this round into the right place, and then solder it onto that one there. So again, a little bit of solder paste. We'll trim off the excess, give that a clean up. And hopefully we're there. So there we go. We've removed the IC, we've removed those two components, we've refitted the new board and soldered those 8 joints on the where the PCB or where the IC would have been, sorry, and then we've made those 2 little jumper wire connections there. And like I say, we've not removed the other capacitor because we're going to try this initially with the original antenna connection. So let's get it all back together and let's flash the CEC HF firmware to it and see if it works. Okay, so I've reassembled the radio, popped the battery on, popped the rotary control on, and I've been away and flashed the CEC version 0.5 HF firmware to this. I think 5.1 is out now, but we've put 0.5 on here. And let's press and hold the FM button or the 0 button. Say wait, there you go, and you can see there we go, and straight away you can hear we've got much clearer audio on there. If we press and hold the function button, we should be able to put it into upper sideband mode. There you go, so that's currently in upper sideband, and like I say, there's no antenna connected, but there's already far clearer audio coming out of that speaker than on the previous mod. So anyway, as always, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Stay tuned and we'll do some further testing of this mod. Hit the like, subscribe, and leave us a comment, and we'll see you on the next one. 7-3.